It's the 5th day of the month of May. You're welcome to News Morning here on TV3. I am Enyunam Haliga, coming up in a few minutes. Korle Bu Doctors Association suspend strike after crunch meeting with management of the hospital. Also, Health Minister justifies Ghana's decision to withdraw from the U.S. health deal, indicating that plans advance to boost Ghana's health sovereignty. Also, LGBT bill expected to dominate parliamentary debate as the House prepares to resume on later this month. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to our first story now, where doctors at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital have suspended their strike following an agreement with management over tensions at the hospital's central laboratory. The decision was announced by the Korle Bu Doctors Association in a notice dated Monday, May 4, 2026, and comes hours after doctors had withdrawn all outpatient department services. Now, according to the association, the suspension follows a meeting with the hospital management and assurance aimed at resolving the ongoing issues between laboratory physicians and medical laboratory scientists. Now, Korle Bu Teaching Doctors Association said the intervention was necessary to ensure laboratory physicians are able to return to their duties and that the cooperation within the central laboratory system is resolved. The association stressed that peaceful collaboration between both professional groups is essential for quality health delivery at the facility. Following the suspension and decision, KODA has instructed its members to resume outpatient services from Tuesday, May 5, 2026. The development brings relief to patients at the facility after earlier strike action had disrupted OPD services due to resolved disagreement over laboratory operations and professional roles within the hospital. KODA added that it remains committed to ensuring patient safety and maintaining high professional standards within the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Now, still on health, the World Bank is sounding the alarm for countries in Central and West Africa to invest in health now or risk losing out on economic potential of the young and fast-growing population. It says the region's demographic divide could be a game changer, as between 2025 and 2050, the number of people aged 0 to 24 have projected to grow by 20 million if supported by strong health systems.
Launching its regional health, nutrition and population strategy, the World Bank says Western Central Africa bears a heavy health burden of 33% of global child deaths, 44% of maternal deaths, and 60% of malaria deaths, with 1/3 of children under 5 are stunted. A World Bank survey reveals the economic toll of poor health. In Ghana, malaria alone accounts for 40% of all lost working days. To strengthen health security, the World Bank is urging greater investment in primary healthcare facilities with reliable water, power, internet access, and better financing to ensure affordable care, especially in remote areas.
We want to focus on primary healthcare because it's the most cost-effective way of reaching a large number of people. Frontline first, and this means investing in a cost-effective primary healthcare system. Second, it focuses on financing. It also means improving budget execution so that every cedi, every franc, every naira that goes into the health system is actually delivered to the frontline.
The Minister for Health, Kwabena Mintah Akando, highlighted Ghana's readiness to invest in its healthcare with the aim of improving the lives of mothers and children while easing the financial burden on families.
The World Bank is positioning itself to invest in the healthcare because whether you like it or not, the health sector is a critical one and it has a reflection on the productivity of every country. As you heard when they were doing the presentation, that about 40% of reasons of not going to work is due to malaria. You understand? So what it tells you is that it is directly affecting productivity. And so you cannot have any productive country without a very good and resilient health systems. You cannot have any country with future without a good health system. So Ghana stands ready to collaborate with the World Bank and also to learn from other sister nations best practices, and we're also willing and ready to share what we are doing in Ghana with other countries.
Under the theme, Fit to Prosper, the World Bank says healthier populations are the foundation for economic growth.
Still on the health sector, Minister for Health Kwabena Mintah-Kando says Ghana is determined to reduce its dependence on foreign aid, insisting that future partnership must come with no strings attached. He made these remarks while clarifying Ghana's position on the rejection of the United States health deal.
Negotiations with the United States began in November 2025 for a $109 million health deal intended to support Ghana's health sector over 5 years. But reports show that in 2024, the U.S. had already disbursed $290 million in foreign assistance to Ghana, including $96 million specifically for health, before announcing cuts to foreign aid. April 2026 was set as the deadline to conclude the deal, but with pressure mounting over specific terms, the Ministry of Health announced its decision to reject the agreement. Speaking on the sidelines of the World Bank launch of its health, nutrition, and population strategy, Akando said Ghana is ready to invest in its own priorities without external conditions.
We believe in Ghana that African nations, African countries must take their own destiny into their own hands. We should be able to expand or invest in the health sector. It's very critical. It does not necessarily mean that we don't need partnership. Health sovereignty does not mean isolation, but we need isolation, purposeful partnership, and then we need that partnership without strings attached.
He emphasized that the government's budget is expected to increase by 2027, ensuring Ghana's health sector operates at its best.
Ghana is willing and ready to invest domestically in where we need or where it's needed most. Last year, for example, our budget for the vaccines stood around $24 million US. We had the money to invest in it. This year, our budget is around $49 million US. We are investing in it because it's public good. Next year, it's increasing. So we are investing where it is needed most. Investing in vaccines is non-negotiable and it's a public good. That irrespective of whatever happens per our economy, we need to invest in our health sector.
For Ghana, the message is clear. Partnerships are welcome, but only on terms that safeguard national priorities.
Persons in hard-to-reach areas and still not on the health insurance scheme are expected to receive support as the authority has waived fees for registration and renewal of cards for the next month. The initiative, according to the National Health Insurance Authority, is to allow more persons gain access to health care as part of government's agenda of reaching persons out in the country in health.
For many Guineans, falling sick does not just come with pain, it comes with cost. And too often, the cost forces difficult choices between health and finances. But that may be about to change. The National Health Insurance Authority has launched what it calls the STORM Initiative, a nationwide campaign to take NHIS service directly to the people. Dr. Victor Bampoado is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority.
The cards is not supposed to be a barrier. It's supposed to be something that grants you access. But we have other initiatives in the country that are making sure that everybody has a Ghana card. The NHIS card is actually even relatively easier to get. So if you don't have any of those cards, then the first step is try to get something both as an identifier so you can use the free primary health care. But if you get the NHIS card or if you get the Ghana card, then what you're doing is that now you are accessing the free primary health care, you are accessing the scheme, and you're also able to potentially access the Ghana Medical Trust Fund. What we don't want to do is to make perfect the enemy of the good.
Under the initiative, NHI staff will move beyond offices and into communities, markets, churches, mosques, lorry stations and workplaces to register and renew members on the spot. The authority says for the first time in its history, it is waiving both registration and renewal fees as well as the 1 month waiting period.
Relatively a small amount of money. So it's not something that is significant in terms of financing, but the benefits greatly outweigh the cost. And even if it was 50% and we're going to have Ghanaians benefit from healthcare, I think I would wager that we will still go for that.
The National Health Insurance Authority says the initiative is tied to government's broader health reforms, including the free primary health care program aimed at expanding access to essential services nationwide. The exercise ends on May 31, after which normal fees and waiting periods will return.
Away from the health sector now to the education sector, where 45,116 students across the Western region began writing the BC on Monday, May 4. But for some candidates at Shama Nyamkrom, the examination did not start on time. Angry youth blocked the main road for hours, burning tires and holding up trucks and the BC candidates. Irama Smith reports from Nyamkrom with more details.
On Monday morning, the youth of Shama Nyamkrom followed through on their threat. They blocked the road to stop trucks carrying clay to Twyford Ceramics and Marco Polo Tiles, two of the biggest tile and water closet manufacturers in the country. The protesters burnt car tires to shut down the road. Even with police present, BECE candidates and their teachers were held up for hours. The leader of the Nyamkrom Concerned Youth says their action follows government silence on their 1-month ultimatum to return contractors to site. He says heavy-duty trucks serving the tile companies have destroyed the road and warns the protest will continue daily until work resumes. Meanwhile, Nyamkrom's youth say they will keep the pressure on until the road is fixed.
This one is a warning. It's a warning. Painful. That's a one shot. Just 1.5 kilometers road.
It's just the beginning. The demonstration will continue until we see a contractor on our road.
But the protest did not just stop trucks. It stopped the candidates too. BECE candidates and teachers were held up for hours, eventually having to walk about 2 kilometers before they could find transport to their exam center. For some students, the delay meant arriving at the exam center shaken, tired, and late.
Today we are writing BEC at Inikta Learning Center, and the students have to walk all the way to the junction before they can access the main road to Shama, where they are writing their paper. It is very critical and has seized academic work because learners, our buses are not even able to move to the junction, not to talk of bring the students back to the school. And so this morning we are calling on the government, they should please come to our aid, help fix the Nyamkrom road so that we can have smooth access to the school for education and academic work to go on. Thank you.
For students in Nyamkrom, the BECE started not with a pencil, but with a protest. Irama Smith, TV3 News, Nyamkrom.
We're taking you to Parliament, where the House is expected to resume sitting on Thursday, May 21, to consider major government businesses, including the 2026 Media Budget Review and the possible passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill. At an event to celebrate workers and Ghanaian culture ahead of the resumption, the Speaker of Parliament is urging Ghanaians to embrace their heritage. Christian Yali shares some highlights in this report.
The Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill has regained much attention after a public hearing was held to gather stakeholder input. Speaker Bagbin, as well as other leading parliamentary figures, have at different occasions signaled their readiness to pass it when the House resumes. But apart from that, Other critical issues like the mid-year budget review, which will be presented by the finance minister, would be at the center stage of the next meeting of parliament. As well, there are other bills like the interstate succession bill, which is to be expected, as well as the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which has been one of a bone of contention of debate among many public experts. But again, you also have the Economic and Organized Crime Office Amendment Bill to be expected, as well as the Tribunals Bill, and a host of other legislative instruments and agreements that the House would consider once it resumes come 21st May 2026. Before all of this would come to play, we have seen the majority as well as the minority caucuses busy at play looking at the 2025 financial statement released by the Bank of Ghana with the losses and the figures of key concern to all those who have contributed on that matter. And so it promises to be a busy meeting ahead of Parliament. Ahead of the resumption, a May Day event was held to celebrate the effort of workers as well as parliamentary service staff with a special spotlight on cultural display. Speaker Bagbin, through the First Deputy Speaker Bernard Ahiafo, is urging the Education Ministry to intensify efforts at ensuring the teaching and learning of local languages in schools.
We are gradually losing touch with the very element that defines us. I call on all Ghanaians to focus on teaching their children the local languages at home. I further implore the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, to intensify their efforts in teaching local languages in our schools.
Now to some security stories now. The Eastern Regional Police Command has arrested 11 suspects in connection with possession of illegal arms and ammunition tied to the ongoing chieftaincy disputes in Adambore in the Eastern region. All suspects are in police custody awaiting investigations and prosecution.
The Deputy Eastern Regional Police Commander, ACP Richard Appiah, briefing the media, said the arrests were carried out in 2 days in an intelligence-led operation at Adamabe, a suburb of Ebri, in the Ekuapim South District of the Eastern region. The suspects, aged between 28 to 56 years, were allegedly found in possession of prohibited weapons without lawful authority. Police say a cache of weapons and items was retrieved during the operations. The police also impounded 2 vehicles, which were allegedly being used to transport some of the suspects, reportedly dressed in camouflage uniforms resembling those of the Ghana Immigration Service at the time of the arrest. The Deputy Eastern Regional Police Commander, ACP Richard Appiah, said in the action to disrupt peace due to chieftaincy dispute would be met with equal force.
The law will catch up with them, and then we are going to prosecute them.
He cautioned on the use of security uniforms and unauthorized arms.
Any weapon that you buy, it must be registered. And therefore, we checked through our systems and we realized that these guns, they are not registered. So it means they are handling it unlawfully. They got these uniforms and they are using it to terrorize members of the public. Sometimes they go out there and they claim that they are national security officers. And they use that to threaten people and harass people. As far as we are concerned, we are telling them that this time we are not going to give them that chance.
He also reaffirmed its commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the area and has urged all parties involved in the Adamabe chieftaincy dispute to exercise restraint as efforts continue to restore calm.
And that brings us to the end of News Morning here on TV3. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyunam Haliga. New Day continues.
Of course, yesterday we heard that doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital had embarked on a strike, and because of that, OPD patients were being turned away. A number of patients were frustrated. In the course of the program today, we'll be going into that and bring you really what the situation is like. Why are they even on strike, and the real impact it is having on patients and activities at the health facilities. We're told actually that last night it was suspended, and so this morning we'll be bringing you an update to find out how the hospital how things are happening at the hospital this morning, and perhaps the impact that already the few hours of the strike had on patients who needed services and were turned away. We'll be bringing you all that update. And of course, yesterday we had over 600,000 BEC candidates sitting for the exams nationwide. Yes. So we will be bringing you updates as regards exactly what transpired day one. Today is day two. And we heard the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, talk about the need for us to deal with exams malpractice. Yesterday, he revealed that about 8 persons, invigilators, teachers, were sanctioned. They were taken to court. Some of them have been, they have been punished by the court. So we'll be bringing you details of that, and moving forward, beyond the measures that we talked about yesterday. Well, in case you didn't join us, there were some issues that we talked about, including WAEC, some of the measures they put in place. One of them, we're told invigilators are prevented from holding phones because apparently it is used to help the students to cheat. So we'll be looking at all of these and how they will help deal with the issue of exams malpractice. Again, we also had the Deputy Director of Education for the Ghana Education Service telling us that they were actually going to hold centers, exam centers responsible if anything untoward happened in terms of exams malpractice, just so that they are warned that they cannot allow just anything that is contrary to the rules regarding our exams to happen on or within the center. So we'll be looking at that as well, and how possibly day two is going to pan out for the BEC exams. And today, being Tuesday, we'll have our regular panel members joining us, of course, as well as some other individuals. We'll have Honorable Bernard Bediako Beidu, who is actually the Member of Parliament for Akwatia in the Eastern region. We'll also have Dr. Ramsey Yunusa, Director of Research for the United Party, join us for the big issue conversation. Of course, Isaac Boamanyako, who is also MPP MP, I believe, for the Efia constituency, will also be joining us. Dr. Asare Ofe will be joining us. He's the chairman of the Kolebu Doctors Association. And like I did mention, he will be taking us, as it were, or bringing us details regarding exactly what's surrounding the strike and how the management probably came in for them to even call it off or suspend it last night, and moving forward, what they would do to ensure that patients are not affected and everything runs smoothly at the country's premier hospital, which is the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We'll also have with us John Kofi Nakoja, who is a chapter chairman, Laboratory Professional Workers Union. They're actually the ones involved in the strike with another group, and they'll be telling us more about it. And so, like I did say, is a whole package for you this morning. We'll be bringing you the latest in the world of sports. Just a few days for us to go for the World Cup. And we have our new coach, Carlos Queiroz, joining us. How are preparations going like? We'll be bringing you the latest updates, plus all the others you need to know regarding sporting activities around the world. And we're learning that 37 military hospital, actually, 37 days actually to the World Cup, and we'll be bringing you more on that when the sports team join us with the latest in the world of sports all around the world. But this is coming from the family of Kojo Chikata. Yesterday marked the 4th of May, marked your birthday, Kojo Chikata, a mentor and father figure, born in 1936. You would have been 90 yesterday. Continue to rest in peace, great patriot. And that's coming from the family of Kojo Chikata. You're still here on Newday on TV3. Welcome to the This Morning segment.
we expect nothing short of the highest standard of integrity. Last year, about 8 teachers were involved facilitating cheating, and they have been dealt with in accordance with law. About 8 of them have been convicted and sentenced, and they will be taken off the payroll of the Ghana Education Service.
And you just watched the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, talking about exams malpractice, what needs to be done to ensure that we deal with this matter. I did tell you, this didn't start just yesterday. It's been on for some time. And of course, we've had the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service trying to deal with this problem just so children learn the values of integrity, among others, and feel proud that indeed the kind of work they did has put them where they ought to be in the future. And so we just want to help you really understand what the situation has been like when it comes to WASSCE exams more practices, or WASSCE more practices. And of course, in 2018, the situation was about 0.9% in terms of the students involved in this. And of course, it moved to a bit higher in 2019 from 0.9%, you can imagine, to 2.6% in 2019. That was just 12 months, really, after we discovered less than 1% of WASSCE students involved or candidates involved in exams malpractice. It dropped a little further in 2020 from 2.6 to 1.8 in 2020. So there was some sort of improvement, but of course still not compared to what we saw in 2018, which was 0.9%. And then in 2021, it moved up again from 1.8 to 2.4% in terms of candidates of WASSCE involved in exams malpractice. 2022 saw another huge jump from 2.4 in 2021 to 7.0. That's really like a huge jump. Remember, we started from 0.9% in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 4 years later down the line in 2022, it jumped from less than 1% to 7.0% in 2022. How many of our students were getting involved in exams malpractice? Perhaps it was becoming more profitable and a lot of people were getting to know about it. Let me just remind you that this is data coming from the Africa Education Watch, headed by Kofi Asari, who is the executive director for the group. And then in 2022, 2023, as if what we saw in 2022 wasn't enough, we saw it jump really from 7.0 in 2022 to 10.0 in 2023. And then 2024, it jumped again, 13.5% to, from 10% to 13.5%. And just last year, there was a slight increase from 13.5% in 2024 to 14.8%. So you can look at the trajectory and realize that really we're not making as much progress as we are supposed to make when it comes to students cheating in exams. This is despite the fact that we've seen the Ghana Education Service, we've also heard the Ministry of Education talking about the need for students to trust the kind of work they do, for them to believe that they can make it without necessarily going through any system of cheating. But yesterday, like I did tell you, when the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, visited some of the centers, he did make it clear that indeed this is not profitable, and he revealed to us that about 8 people, teachers or invigilators, had been prosecuted by the court, and some others were currently facing trial because of their involvement in exams malpractice. So it sounds like they are now really going to crack the whip to deal with the numbers that we've seen, again, from 0.9% in 2018 And how many years down the line? 2025, we have now 14.8%. Well, the lines are activated. You can call in, share your thoughts with us. And as you can tell, this keeps rising, really, because the only time it dropped was in 2020 when it dropped from 2.6 to 1.8, and it just kept increasing up until the figures we have now, which is that of last year, 14.8%. So call in, share your thoughts with us, because we keep talking about it, but we don't seem to make progress as regards what we need to do to deal with it. I did say that there have been a few measures that have been put in place already. We've been informed by the Education Minister that some teachers and invigilators have been prosecuted by the court. That's about 8 of them. Others, more than 20, are currently facing trial at the various levels of the court. We're told that invigilators are not allowed to keep their phones with them whilst they are invigilating students, because we've learned that they pass on the questions to other people who are elsewhere to solve them, bring them back, and then they distribute them to the teachers. There have also been complaints about how some others answer the questions and just slide them under tables and desks of these candidates who are writing exams. So really, with all these measures that are put in place to ensure that candidates do not cheat, why are we seeing the numbers increase? You want to call in and share your thoughts with us if you're a teacher as well, what your experience has been. But I think we do have our first caller on the line. Peter T joins us. Good morning to you, Peter T. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. I hope you are doing well.
I'm doing very well. How are you this morning?
I'm good. But
if you could kindly speak up a little bit, I'm struggling to hear you, Peter T.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, it's better. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Sure. She will hear.
Okay. Beatrice, let me say good morning to Alaji Okondo, National Security Operation Liaison Officer, and Honorable Madi, Democratic Congress, National Democratic Director of Election, Mr. Manuel Ashanitete, Greater Accra Regional Liaison Officer, National Security. And then we also have Honorable Chairman Ava, he's also the former chairman for National Democratic Congress. And Beatrice, let me give you, it seems, if we look at the statistics that you have just given us, you realize that we are being guided by a certain history. Because if you look at the percentages from 2022 there, which I can record, there is something that we must do about this. Because it seems we are embarking on some suicidal mission when it comes to these records, our students and their examination. And I don't think that we should be having such records. Looking down the line in the past, things were better, especially when we started this. But now, what do we have to say is the cause of some of these downtrends that we are having when it comes to examination? And we attributed this so much to examination practices. Is that the only cause? I think that parental control when it comes to education is also a factor that I'm seeing here.
How do you mean, Peter T?
What do you mean?
How do you mean by parental control in exams?
Yeah, it is part of it because, look, Beatrice, when you come or you visit various homes, you see the attitudinal behavior of the children. When parents don't care, these children are having their phones all over the place. They don't go and learn. They don't learn. 24 hours, they are with phones. You ask yourself, what are they doing with the phone? And what is the reaction of the parents? They don't even stay in the house. They go out there. They do everything that they want. They want the society to even recognize them with these technology, phones and the rest, better than their books that sometimes I even confront some of them. That why are you here by this time? Come to my area. You see very late, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You see these children with their phones sitting down with friends and you don't know what actually they are doing. When you ask them, they will tell them they are in GSS Form 1, GSS Form 2, and I say, by this time, what are you doing here? You see, so we need to also look at this side. And if you can do something, first we're having this community group discussion with the teachers who live in the community. They were being given responsibility to take out some of these challenges. This time, these things are new. PTA, Parent-Teacher Association, what are we doing now about it? This government wants to review it and bring it back. I think that will also be part of the solution that will curtail some of these embarrassments of our education that we are facing today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well to you, Peter T. Thank you for calling in and for what you've shared with us this morning. Yes, the numbers are still displayed on your screen. They are activated. Call in, share your thoughts with us. And a number of you have already sent in your messages, even as you get ready to call. And really send in these messages and we'll read them back to you. So you can call in. Like I did say this morning, we're talking about the issue of exams malpractice in our schools. I've already taken you through the data from 2018, where we had about 0.09% of students cheating, to now 14.8% in 2025. What do you make of the situation? What do you think is instigating that? And we do have another person joining us from Cape Coast in the Central Region. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for calling us. Please tell us your name and what you've got on your mind.
Okay, please. This is Akweto Gamari from Cape Coast.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to contribute to the examination malpractice that is being discussed this morning.
Please go ahead.
You see, I used to be a teacher. But then you realize that when I was doing my national service in 2021, I remember the woman from Ghana Education Service visited the facility I was doing service and was asking us, in fact, in a staff meeting, not to even do, she used the word KK, not to do anything KK to the children. They were not supposed to be touched. If they do something, we shouldn't even shout at them or even discipline them in any way. And by then, she was telling us it will make the government free SHS unpopular. Now, I am seeing that currently the new curriculum that is being enrolled, if care is not taken, examination malpractice will be much more dangerous, because the tablets given to students in class, you can do your check in various schools that are using tablets. During prep time, students are keeping their earphones or earpiece in their ears, listening to music, some watching videos with the tablet instead of studying. And this is not good for our country. Very soon you will see that the statistics you are showing and the figures you are showing in 2027 going, it will be more than dangerous. And so something needs to be done about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Kamale calling us from Cape Coast in the Central Region. Thank you for calling in and for sharing your thoughts with us. You can also call in. The numbers are on your screen, and let us know what you think of what we are talking about this morning. Again, I'm reminding you that we're talking about the issue of exams malpractice, 0.09% in 2018 to now 14.8 in 2025. We do have Hajia Alima joining us on the line. Good morning to you, Hajia. It's always great to have the women call us in the morning.
Good morning, my sister. This is Hajia Halima Akumapa, the freedom fighter from Medina.
Exactly. It's been such a long time, Hajia. Thank you for calling back.
Thank you. How are you all?
I'm doing very well, and we're all also fine.
Mashallah.
How are you yourself?
I'm fine. I'm great. I'm greater than Accra. Let me borrow from Johnny. He said he's greater than Accra. I'm also greater than Accra.
Sure.
Thank you. Let me say good morning to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and a team of appointees that he's working with, especially our National Security Coordinator, who is not a pajamas fashion fair coordinator today, who is seriously monitoring the security of this country for us. In that case, women, we are very, 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 very thankful to him because we go to market and come back home late in the night just to get something to make sure our children and our husbands can survive. So we thank him so much. My sister, about
exam small
practices. In fact, as a caller just said, these tablets given to the children must be monitored. They shouldn't be left with the tablet to do anything just anyhow. Secondly, to me, even though I don't know how the system of education is working now, because our time is a colonial time. So now a lot of things have changed. But this AI that the children are using to do their homework at home, once when they go to exams, they will not use AI to see answers. It's a very, very, very important thing that we should look at this very well, so that the way formerly in the olden days we crack our mind to make sure that our notes are read well, so that we can get our answer. My sister, you see me, I'm not educated much, but because my term education is very, very very serious, Today I can express myself. If I tell you my educational background, you will not believe it. You understand? Because we learn, we read, and up till now, we read, we do research. We know what we want to achieve. You understand? But today the children rely on AI. They take their answers from the, internet and so on. So when the person writes it and go and give it and be marked, sometimes they don't keep it. Not all the children are brainy to be able to keep what they read in their head. So from the onset, our teachers, our school, our education from the primary should be looking at. They should look at it very well. When Akwalanu shall be from the beginning now, when the person is climbing up, the person knows what's up. He knows what he's doing. So please, our education system, they should check it from the beginning of it, from daycare, from kindergarten to primary to class 6 to JK, so that the children will be well known of what they are learning. Then lastly, we are appealing this human rights that we extend it to the schools. The children cannot be disciplined when they are doing something wrong. It is killing us very, very, very much. We don't know the kind of leaders we are raising in future, because the children don't now respect anybody, including their teachers. Formerly, if a child is at home and he doesn't respect, when you say, I'll go and report you to your teacher, the person will at least change small. But today, see how they can beat their teachers at school just because of this human rights. Africans, we must know that we have values, we have culture, we have manners, we have what we have before this Obroni human rights come. So we should use those things. Thank you very much. Let me salute my president again and salute the Bapoha director. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hajia. It's always great to have you join us and to share your thoughts with us. And thank you for calling in after a long while. And Hajia, calling from Medina, she calls herself the freedom fighter. Thank you for calling in and for sharing those insightful thoughts with us. There is Kwamena Acidity Ahafo Atrensia says, good morning. We thank God yesterday Ghanaians have never received any negative reports about ongoing BC and WASI examination malpractice. It's a good call. Best regards to Usu Nkrumah Bebiwin Kwamena Ahafo, Regional Chairman for the NDC. This is coming from Kwamena Acidity Ahafo Atrensia. We do have another caller joining us. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Baba Katana. I'm calling from Eskar Katan constituency.
Okay. Thank you so much, Baba.
My sister, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm glad to do my regional chairman, the network, whoever you are. I'm thanking you. Good work you do for this country on NDC. You deserve another second term. We are appealing for constituency executive to renew its mandate to take NDC to good place. My sister, you see, this matter coming out is very, very worrying. our child, let him train them. Because only teacher, they can train child for us. We both have both parents and teachers can train child for us. If you give them tablets to learn, at least the house of some limits. If you go to classroom, you can give them, you go and learn. If you come home, you can correct the tablet for them. Because if you go out, you can see them in your secret places. If you can't read social media, what is going on, you are watching, you can't learn. You are destroying our future. You are killing the both of the parents. You are killing them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very short, but thank you, Baba, for calling in and for what you've just shared with us. There's a message from Aziz Donla Wa in the Upper West region. He says the youth in the Upper West region are unhappy with the lack of progress on the Wabi-Wenchi Road project. In fact, as citizens of this country, we are particularly disappointed with the delay in executing the project. And yes, so Aziz Donla talking about the road project in his area. But Aziz, what do you think about what we are discussing this morning? Please share your thoughts with us on that as well. And there's Abbas Ofinso. Abbas from Ofinso says, GES must set cameras on BEC exams or they should pay the invigilators well. Greetings to Lawyer Abbas Nuruddin, incoming National Communications Officer. This is coming from Abbas in Ofinso. And also, there's a message coming in from Chachu Chikata Jr. It says, good morning, Beatrice Edu. Don't forget you're doing a good job. Thank you very much. Keep it up. He says, I would like to use this opportunity to appreciate and celebrate our hard-working Member of Parliament for the Wild West constituency, Honorable Peter Lanchini Tobu, for his tireless efforts and immense contribution to the development of the constituency and beyond. We're truly grateful, sir. It says, on the issue of examination malpractice in Ghana, it is important that we have an honest conversation. The problem does not solely come from the students. In fact, most of the blame lies with some school leaders and officials within the various examination centers, including some WAEC officials themselves. For lasting change to happen, corrective measures must start from the WAEC background first, before pointing fingers at our children. Clean up the system from the top and the student will follow. This is coming from Chachu Chikata Jr. in the Wild West constituency of the Upper West region. We do have another caller. Hillary joins us from Wager. Hi, Hillary. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you? How is Wager this morning?
Yeah, it's quite peaceful here. So I want to share my thoughts on malpractices and examinations.
Please go ahead.
Yes. To be fair, there's always been malpractices in examinations. You have students who don't really learn and will try to find their way to pass whatever examination they're writing. So it has always been there. It's just we need ways to minimize it. Aside that, concerning the tablets that have been given to students, I mean, there should be ways to kind of limit or monitor them. I would have preferred they would have opened like a library with the computers where they could use. But to give them personal tablets, that just seems like we are trying to be modern, but we are just not putting measures in place properly for that. It's good for students to be able to do research and to be more computer savvy, but I would prefer there be a library where they can go have access to the internet, especially in boarding schools. It just doesn't make sense to give them personal tablets because
all right,
a lot could go wrong.
Okay. Thank you so much.
If that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for calling us from Wager and for the thoughts you just shared with us as well. There's another message saying, good morning, beautiful Beatrice and the crew. I think GES must take responsibility. However, until I see progress on the road, okay, I'm not changing my position. Well, that's coming actually again from Aziz Donla, but thank you very much for your messages. Keep sending them and we'll read them back to you. And yes, the numbers are still displayed on your screen. The phone lines activated. Call in and share your thoughts with us. In case you're just joining us, we're talking about exams malpractice at the second cycle level. We've already gone through data from the Africa Education Watch that really we've seen increase in exams malpractice from 0.09% in 2018 to now 14.8% in 2025. Let's go to Collins, who joins us now. I believe Collins from Amanole, is that right? Good morning.
Yes, it is. Fantastic, perfect. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, Collins. I'm doing very well. How are you this morning?
By the grace of God, you are looking good this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes. As I have been saying, I said, TV3, you are best of the best. I'm telling you the gospel fact. Your journalism is undisputed. Yes. Across Ghana and beyond, everywhere you go, they tune it to TV3. In the morning, afternoon, in the evening, every day in, day out. Keep the good work for Mother Ghana. And yesterday I said this and it happens. But look, all is because of money. All is because of money. Because I can't understand that your son or your daughter spent a lot to study. Now, you see, this thing, what it pains me a lot, Beatrice, is about all this. You won't hear anything again. There should be a special prosecution to these people. This multi-practice examination is not becoming every day in, day out. Why? Let the system flow. Let the children write what they learn. That's all. Because if you do this, and after he or she jumps into the secondary school and beyond, then you will see that he's suffering. Why? Because you go and collect something small from elsewhere, then you put it inside your pocket for you to benefit. Then the system will jumpalize, you don't care. Our project, Haruna Ijusu, we should continue the good work for Mother Ghana, and God will surely bless him and his deputy. Let me take this opportunity to greet NDC Greater Accra Regional Chairman, Honorable Me Ashimo, and Peter Akosi Mensa, Deputy CEO.
Thank you so much, Collins from Amanole. Thank you for calling in and for what you just shared with us. A number of you are sending in your messages. Let me read this from Ernest, who is connecting through YouTube. He says the curriculum is required to be reviewed. You cannot ask students to use internet and AI for the assignment and exercise and restrict them when it comes to the exams. And keep sending your messages. We'll read them back to you. We do have Alhaji on the line. Good morning to you, Alhaji. How are you today?
Beatrice.
Hi, Alhaji.
Beatrice, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you yourself?
Oh, I'm also good. How is Kukiti?
Kukiti is doing very well. She's recovering.
And Roland Nashako.
Roland and Na are all great. Blay is also doing well. Thank you for asking.
Okay, let me send my blessing to Alaji Alasan and Shamima Muslim and Hazo Alaji Alasan and Chairman of Foster Ampo and Dr. Abukar Wumbe coming the regional secretary for NDC and President from Kofridwa and Aziz Dola, your best friend from Wa, vying for the regional communication officer for Upper West. So they should vote him and me, I'm also vying for the constituency communication officer in Savulwu.
Congratulations to all of you in advance.
Oh, congratulations. Beatrice.
Yes, sir.
You see, these exams, I think some of the teachers, they have not done their best for what they did. Because always, and we have been here, my exams, my practice, is also. So why that thing happening? why that thing happened. They don't let that mistake or because just go there. What you teach them in house, they can use it to write the exams and pass it. If you go there and you just give them direct, it means that what you did is wrong. We need to be fair in the country. So this can help us and we can build in the better country. So let's keep on pushing this agenda. And our education minister, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, what he said is true. We're really happy for what he said. But I just want to appeal to some of the people, and they have been arrested, and they need to prosecute them. If they prosecute them, and they should start them into the schools. Maybe tomorrow they will not do that mistake again. So let me stand here and thank you very much for this opportunity and greet Honorable Julius Debra, Chief of Staff. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation progress and strong. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Halji, and may God bless you too. And yes, you can call in as well and send in your messages. There is a Liban official also connecting with us on YouTube, says the issue of examination malpractice stems from various school officials in the quest to get an overall good grade for the schools and school rankings. The students are just pawns. And he says, my name is Alice, by the way. Okay, just correcting that. And so, yes, thank you once again for calling in. Let me read this last message from Fakaki Wa. And he's actually also saying that he's, what's the Wa Central Constituency NDC incoming Deputy Treasurer. All right, Fakaki, sending us a message from Wa in the Upper West region, says, a significant national concern demanding immediate attention in the growing tide of examination fraud in our institutions. It's not just a student problem. It's a mirror of significant flaws in our educational system and society in general. The preoccupation with grades and certificate above actual knowledge has produced a hazardous atmosphere where pupils feel driven to pass at any price. Malpractice is becoming normal with the increasing misuse of technology. Let's be clear. Cheating on exam is intellectual misconduct and it erodes the foundation of our educational system. Strict invigilation criteria and good teaching must take precedence among teachers and school administrators. Examination bodies ought to improve monitoring systems and apply penalties without fear or bias. Students, most of all, need to realize that real success has no shortcuts. Ghana cannot have a good future if it is built on lies. It is time to move. Thank you very much from Fakakiwa in the Upper West region. Thank you to all of you for sending in your messages and for calling in and sharing those wonderful thoughts with us. Let me remind you that you can always pick up your day the Milky Way with a rich, smooth taste of peck milk shortcake. It is just pure delight. Find any grocery shop just near you and you get to have all the flavors you love: chocolate, coconut, and many more. You're still here on Newday on TV3. When we come back, we'll bring you the big issues, sports, and some more. Do stay with us. keeps getting worse. And so, yes, we see exams malpractice, even not just within the WASI level alone, but in schools across the country generally. And I will shortly be bringing you the data again that I took us through earlier this morning from the Africa Education Watch, showing us how the situation is getting worse. And of course, some of the things being done by the government now. We've already heard the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, who is also the Member of Parliament for Tamale South, talking about it. We've seen the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Education Service as well, giving warnings even to centers, exam centers, that they will not be spared if something untoward happens within their centers. And so, yes, we'll be going into that and really what we need to do to ensure the situation doesn't get worse any further. And of course, yesterday, we also heard that news about doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital declaring a strike, and already throughout the day, patients for the OPD bit of hospitals, the hospital, were turned away and obviously stranded as a result of that strike. We do understand that the strike was called off last night, and hopefully we'll be able to get an understanding of what really necessitated the strike in the first place, and what has been promised by the management of the hospital, the reason for the suspension of the strike. We'll be going into that as well, hopefully with time. But let me introduce my panel to you. Before I actually introduce my panel, let me take you through again the graphics I brought you earlier, the information regarding how bad the situation is getting. And of course, I did say that in 2018, we had less than 1% of students sitting for WASI interested in examination malpractice. It was 0.9% of students involved in it in 2018. And then a year after, unfortunately, it jumped from less than 1% to 2.6% in 2019. It dropped a little bit in 2020, from 2.6 in 2019 to 1.8 in 2020. And then it got worse in 2021, moving from 1.8 to 2.4. Now, guess what? 4 years after the first one was recorded, which was in 2018, it jumped all the way to 7% in 2022. And another 3% was added in 2023, and another 3.5% in 2024. And the last bit that we've been giving, 2025, jumping from 13.5% to 14.8%. Obviously, showing us the trajectory that this situation is not improving, it is rather getting worse. And I did tell you earlier that this is coming from data coming from the Africa Education Watch, education think tank headed by Kofi Asari, who is the executive director. And so, yes, irrespective of which measures we've been told are being put in place or implemented by the Ghana Education Service and the Education Ministry, the situation is getting worse. What do we need to do from here to ensure that as we're beginning to have exams, BC started yesterday, WASI will be coming up, what do we need to do to ensure that we don't get worse results that we've seen in the last few years? Let me introduce my panel now. I do have with us the Honourable Isaac Yaoboamanyako, who is a Member of Parliament for Efia. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Efia must be in the Western region, I believe.
It's in the Sekondi Metropolis.
Takoradi Metropolis. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for
having me. It's great to have you here.
Pleasure,
of course, we're joined as well by the Honourable Bernard Bediako-Baidu, who is the NDC Member of Parliament for Akwatia in the Eastern region. Honourable, it's great to see you in Accra.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. And of course, we do have as well with us Dr. Ramsey Inusa, Director of Research with the United Party. Doc, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Missed you last week.
That's right. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Perhaps I can start with you, Honourable Ramsey, if that's okay with you, Dr. Ramsey Inusa. Really, I just gave us the data about how bad the situation when it comes to exams malpractice. The focus is on WASI, is getting across the country. Of course, we've had the Education Minister talk to us about even malpractice within the basic level. We heard him speak yesterday. Where do you stand on really how far we've come doing the wrong thing?
I mean, let me say a very good morning to your good self and to your cherished viewers out there. And let me say a very good morning to the honorable members on this table. Indeed, exam malpractice has been as old as Adam, but the rate at which it's increasing in our educational sector is quite worrying. And all of us that are observers of this trend are bothered because the quality of students, right, the real quality of students is being hampered with. You know, the system has been created in such a way that today both parents and some corrupt teachers, and of course, the competition that has been created around schools is also foiling that will do all, right, to infiltrate the system to have a desirable effect as far as the name of the school be glorified in our society so that they can be able to beat their competitors. People would then run to these schools because they are getting their A schools. Parents would also glorify their kids in society because they are doing so well and that they can get to better schools. So all these things are indeed driving factors to this menace. But I've said that in today's technological world, we can use technology like AI and big data to mitigate these issues. And I've said that the time of having set questions for a whole nation is over. We should limit the questions. We should have a huge question pool that would limit it to each and every district. So all the 267 districts in Ghana should have different sets of questions so that when you are writing in Ayawaso West and somebody is writing in Akwatia, the questions are quietly different. Question 1 in Akwatia is different from question 1 in Ayawaso West.
You don't think the rationale behind having the same question is to ensure that you've given the same platform and
within the same standard? Within the same standard. And I can refer you to something that is happening already. If you look at the Cambridge exams, those that write in Kenya and those that write in New York write the same difficulty level, CIA exams, but the questions are different. Because you know that when you write in New York, you write way earlier than those in Kenya. And so for that matter, if your question 1 is the same as that of Kenya, the likelihood of you leaking the questions is high. And it makes the exam in itself incomplete.
Again, you talk about time difference and the circumstances within the countries we're referring to.
But that's why I said that with technological innovations today, we can be able to do that. It doesn't cost a thing. And I have said that if we use $97 million to build a pit, we could have used $97 million, right, to buy laptops for these schools so that the assessment will be computer-based. Do you get what I mean? And it will be randomly picked. And that no set of districts would have the same questions. And that would even make the exams in itself very clean and fair. And no teacher can manipulate the system, or no politically exposed person or influential person can be able to manipulate the system for a favorable outcome for the award.
So you're saying that we should use AI and computer to begin with the exams. But
Absolutely.
You know, we have a challenge with our internet penetration. There are even villages that
internet penetration
might not have seen computers or anything. How are you going to deal with that?
Internet penetration is on the high. Today, we have the likes of Starlink. It's not far-fetched. All these things that we're talking about is not far-fetched. It can be done. That's why I'm saying that if we really have the right political will to tackle our educational sector, we can do it. The Ghanaian kid deserves the best. We should not indulge in all these anachronistic methods of accessing students. And indeed, assessment today has become a do-or-die thing for our kids because it determines where you end up in your secondary educational quest.
Is that not a major factor why we're seeing this?
It is also another contributing factor. And that we should not put that, I would say, fear of failure in our kids. Because indeed, failure is another aspect of success. And that tomorrow, the leaders that we have, the quality of kids that we bring out from our educational sector should be the main aim and the main concern for us, and not that we just want to see A's and B's on a paper. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you look at the likes of China, the Chinese kids have various, secondary schools. They have various classification of secondary schools. But I can tell you that the quality output of all these various secondary education schools are very admirable. And so we should also ensure that when we are distributing resources to our various secondary schools, we should do that with some form of equity, right? Because we know that these A schools are quite better than schools in maybe Nampanduri or in Waliwali, which shouldn't be the case if you look at Chapter 6 of our Constitution, right? And so going forward, I know that the Education Minister has taken up the mantle to tackle this menace. I'm not challenging his credibility. I know he's a credible individual, but indeed, these issues are prevailing, and we need that political will to bring an end to it.
Let me ask you this before I come to the Honorable Bidiako. You were saying that parents have the urge to want to see their children pass, and so they push this. This is something that one of our callers this morning even said, and went to the extent of parents not even supervising their children. They give them the phones and allow them to do whatever they want to do without necessarily studying. How do we tackle that problem? I mean, we need to tackle it from the roots, just so the bit of the parenting is also dealt with, beyond what measures could be put in place.
Definitely, it's an offense to cheat, right? If anybody leaks out a WASI exam or a BC exam paper, it's an offense. It's a grave offense. And so we should leave this on the doorsteps of our security agencies to do the needful to investigate. And if indeed the parents are found culpable, they should pay the price for such erroneous crime.
Honorable Bediako.
Okay, so good morning to you and to my senior brothers here, then to our viewers. This matter, let me also say good morning to the people of Akwatia, whose authority I am in Accra. For this matter of exam malpractice, it's a bit dicey, but it's a matter we need to deal with head on. Previously, there are two forms, as I know it. The one before the exam is actually taken, where questions are sometimes leaked out.
The mock.
You may call it that. That the questions sometimes get to leak, that people get to know about the questions before they set. And then actually setting and being assisted in one way or the other. So there are two forms. I think we've had a past where questions were notoriously out even before the candidates get to set. We've been able to deal with that to a large extent. And so that is really not the issue currently. The issue we have, and it's becoming quite endemic, is where the candidates sit for the exam but are assisted in one way or the other by, could be invigilators, could be teachers who are around, could even be, some parents who happen to have access to the area. And some, we hear, if it is true, security officers who also assist in this. It's a shame. Because, you see, at the end of the day, what do we want? If we want to produce this, especially with the BC and then maybe the WASI, as we all know. The BC, for instance, is the first major test of these kids. After they've been trained, it's their first external exam. And if they are allowed to do this, to cheat, then it's a very serious matter. Because it tells the kind of people we are even bringing up. And if they succumb to this and they actually take it up and, they seek to benefit from such, then there is a problem. Now, this is it. I have said everywhere that as human as we are, most often, I won't say all the time, but most often we believe in getting things done our own way in a very, very cheap manner, in a very, anyone would want to, even if, all of us, if you sat on the examination desk and you happen to have access to answers to write to pass, you will do it. Let's not be. But you see, the system should be such that such tendencies will not be tolerated. And that is for me, because everyone wants an easy path to success. It's natural with human beings. And so it is the system that should be able to, ensure that these things don't happen. Yes, I think that the question we should ask ourselves is that with all these statistics, which you showed us, if we had this, it meant that people were caught or, were eventually identified for doing one or two things.
But how many were punished?
How many were punished? That is what I'm coming to.
About yesterday.
How many were punished? We should have those statistics. Maybe you should ask the authorities. They should give us the statistics of how many people have been punished so far with these statistics, so we know this number of people were, and what were the nature of the punishment. Where are they now? Is it really the case that when people do A or B, we tend to, caution and allow them still operate, or we give them the ultimate punishment? The regime, punishment or punitive regime must be looked at. The minister, mentioned that 8 people have been prosecuted and convicted,
yes,
and sentenced.
Yes.
We are not too sure about the type of sentence. Sentence doesn't necessarily mean custodial. It may to be a fine or all that. But you see, what I was so much happy with, in terms of what the minister said, was the fact that those teachers have been convicted and sentenced, their names will be expunged from the payroll. I don't know whether it's not been done, but it must be done. It must be done, so that even if they were sentenced to a fine and they actually paid the fine, the fact that they've been convicted, of course, because...
Actually, he said it. He said, let me just quote him here. He said, last year, about 8 teachers were involved in facilitating cheating, and they have been dealt with in accordance with the law. About 8 of them have been convicted and sentenced, and they will be taken off the payroll of the Ghana Education Service.
Yes, so they will. So I pray that the Honorable Minister, as I know him, is an action man. And then the Director General, as a very disciplined man, Professor David. So I am very optimistic that they would not just let this slide. For the fact that you are a public servant and you've been convicted, and these matters border on morality, and so the law is clear. You cannot continue being a public servant. And these things, when it happens, should be out there. Let's name and shame. Who are those? Because they've been convicted by a court, so it's no longer an allegation. Let us know them, so that their colleagues or friends may see that it is not the usual do and then forget and go. No, we should enhance the regime of punishment, because we cannot continue like this. It casts a certain slave. Somewhere previously, our certificates were valued elsewhere, but when there are malpractices, allegations of malpractices like this, it casts a certain slur on our academic credentials as a people. So we should watch these things. It's not nice at all. So far with the BC yesterday, yes, I went through, I'm sure my big brother also did. In my constituency, my district and the surrounding areas were very peaceful. I had an engagement with the students. I told them, look, it's not just about making the ones, but own it. If indeed you deserve it, fine. If you don't, do what, because the system is fashioned in such a way that each and every one will get. That is why there are A schools, there are whatever. It doesn't mean, because sometimes you even have those in the rural schools even outperforming the A schools. It depends on your what you think you want to do with your life. It's not really about making the ones, because they are not end in itself.
And I'll come to the Honorable Boama Nyako very shortly, but there's a point that Dr. Inusa made about we making the exams a do or die affair. How do we instill or teach these children to have this mindset that it's not about getting the ones, at exams and failing in life, but also ensuring that even if you did not get the ones, you succeed at life? How do we get to have that really ingrained in them?
Well, I understand you. It's the nature of how we've built our system. You see, like we just said, every student, a little IQ or a young girl would want to be in the Wesley Girls, in the Holy Child, and then all that. And there are specific, grades you need to. Of course, you know the competition there. And it's the dream of everyone because, you see, SHS, the dream of every student would be to be enrolled in the elite schools. They want to be in the pre-sex and then all that. So at the end of the day, it's the nature of our system. If it were such that every student after BC would be enrolled in a school closer in a catchment area, if we were to have that, there wouldn't be that competition of a sort. But you see, people also say the other leg of it is that there will not be motivation for students to learn. That is the other leg I've heard. The other leg people also advance, the argument people advance. Otherwise, at that stage, I thought that it should be area specific. If you are done with school, because in any case, most of them did the JHS in those areas. Where they lived. So why are we so, about this elite school? He needs to travel miles away and all that. It is even expensive.
But we've been talking about that. Why haven't we implemented that?
Well, that's why we are here, and I'm sure we are policymakers, kind of. So as we proceed with it, maybe we'll find because it is all some of the, and then also schools, schools in competition with each other, apart from the students themselves, the schools wants to have a certain, and so because the private schools especially, and the JHS schools, they want to have a certain mark in terms of passes and all that. And so we've heard stories. We are not too sure how true they are, but authorities of those schools go every extent to make sure that they want to be the best schools and all that. And then the areas they hail from, they want to have their schools because this is what happens. You go, a school advertises that we were able to make these passes. We were able to have our wards or our children in these schools. These are the marketing tools they use in getting people onto their schools. And if it is like that, then we will do everything to make it. It's just like life, you and myself. People would always try to make life, regardless. Some may even do it fair or foul. So it's because of the seeming competition, and we need to relook at it. If it is possible to have students enroll in schools just close, so that we don't really have elite schools as so properly so-called, which is an incentive for some of these exam malpractices. But I think that before we get there, so far as the law is clear that these things, when you do them, they are against the law, we need to enhance the punishment or the regime to punish people in the meantime. And let's also name and shame these 8 people. I do not know, but once they've been convicted by a court, we need to know them. It must be all over so that, potential, people who also have that in because the exam is ongoing.
So we should publish their names.
We should.
Pictures.
What's wrong? You see, this is not an allegation. They've been convicted by a court of competent jury. That's the information we have. So who are they? Let us know them. So that if they are even engaged in some private schools doing other things somewhere, we should know. As a country, the way we always try to shield people for one reason or the other, I'm not saying if they are still in court, that's a different thing. But once they've been convicted by a court of competent jurisdiction, it was public. I'm sure the convictions were handed to them in open. So why are we keeping their names? Because it will really be a disincentive. It's out there for people, potential, defaulters of SAFE. So let's enhance the regime. That's one problem you have as a country. Look, everyone would want to bend one rule or the other, even the Western world, in order to sail through and get something. But if your punishment or your regime, the regime to punish people is so tight, it's a disincentive.
It's a disincentive. And I'm coming to you, Honorable Wamanyako. You saw the numbers we put out from 0.9% in 2018 to 14.8% in 2025. We don't seem to be making progress. The Honorable Bediakon Bedu seems to be emphasizing on the kind of systems we need to put in place to make it a disincentive. From where you sit, how do we go about putting this system in place?
Thank you very much, Beatrice, for this morning, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers, as well as my colleague panelists, and the good people of Efia constituency. I returned yesterday evening from the constituency. Earlier last week, I engaged the BEC candidates and donated some materials to them, their masthead, pens, pencils, and the rest. And yesterday, before they started, there was a call to meet all of them with the Directorate of Education, encourage them to go in their might. And also, some of the things I told them have been raised there. This is their first major examination they are undertaking, and so there's always tension and fear and panic on their part. But we've been there before, and so they need to be encouraged that this is just the first step. Examination is available to you across your life, from basic to SHS to university to all of that. So they should take it easy, and I'm sure with all the motivations, they should come out successful. I've really enjoyed the conversation so far and the questioning you've been putting across, because it goes to the core of our educational system and what kind of reforms we need to see. The first big bucket is the malpractice. And where do they sit? The data you shared from your information is coming from the senior high school level.
Yes.
But this day we are looking at the JHS. However, the JHS also, we've already received complaints of malpractices. So far, they've come up with about 8 people who have been identified as having engaged in some malpractice or the other. And it becomes a big challenge because this is the foundation of their education. And so if we don't strengthen, secure, and protect it, then it means that we are creating a generation of people who are going to be dishonest in terms of the examinations they take. Taking it from my days as a student from Adisadel College, writing O-level and A-level at Prempeh College, it was a difficulty to really come across examination malpractice because of the systems that were put in place. If you are going into the examination hall, you are properly searched. They make sure there's no foreign material on you. In the course of the examination, when you are caught, even trying to turn your head to look into somebody's paper, you are cautioned. The next moment, you are moved from there, and so on and so on. So you go into the exams. If you can write it, you write what you can. If you are unable to write, you fail and you get your 9. And then you know where you go to when it comes to whether A-level or to the university. So what changed within the senior high school BEC level, which is leading to this whole examination malpractice? Colleagues have raised some of the pertinent issues. Some are related to the intention of schools to show that they are good. I've had a lot of information about even teachers and head teachers assisting students to write examination and pass, and giving them even answers. And I'm wondering, what kind of teachers and headmasters do we have? When you train children, it is time for them to write an examination, and you are influencing the results or the questions and the answers to them. So people get aggregate 8 ones, they go to whether pre-sec or they go to GAE. And at that level, the training suggests that their mind is not even there. They don't even have the capacity and the competency to absorb the senior high school level. So we make it even more difficult for them to be groomed. And then it becomes worse at the SHS level, where the data is suggesting. How can you have close to 15% of your students who go into an examination involved in malpractice? This is a disaster. So from GES level to the Ministry of Education over the time, and this data is matching from 2018.
Yes.
So it's cutting across all regimes. If you had gone back, and even now in 2025, there is a continuous trajectory of this examination malpractice. This needs an urgent national attention.
Have we failed as a country?
We are failing. I will not say we have failed yet, but we are failing. And we are failing because decision makers, that is the education, the ministry, the government, and all of us as stakeholders, are not taking the bull by the horn. Because the data behind the malpractice is available. Malpractice is broad. We are talking about either teachers and so influencing it. Is it about leakage of examination questions? Is it about people doing whatever? That data is there. And so if you know what is constituting the malpractice, you find solutions to them. You go in and interrogate. How has the Ministry of Education and GES guided the process for all of us to know that when we talked about the malpractice, these were the issues that came out. And this is how we are strengthening it. If you check the information from BEC, when I read their preparation, they said that some of the challenges they faced last year involving monitoring, which led to some of these challenges of malpractices, have been tightened. So we need to go back and interrogate this particular process. How well tightened have they been in the process?
That the data is not proving that.
Exactly. So yesterday they started. Who is giving us daily report on the examination? That we visited this premises, we visited this center, and we can see that there's proper tightening of controls.
You said that we haven't failed as a country, but we are failing. We are in the process of doing so. How do you believe our culture might have influenced the kind of data we've seen? Because we see situations where people do wrong and elders and chiefs and all of that go to places, oh, Yakora, Manenka, and all these things. How do you think this may be influencing the data that we're seeing now?
I think it goes beyond even the clergy or the opinion leaders or the chiefs. This is about governance and our educational setup. You don't bring opinion leaders and chiefs and all those people, including members of parliament, in this domain to influence processes, discipline, and decision making. If a head teacher is found culpable in his school for influencing or trying to compromise the integrity of an election, you sanction. And as he said, you name and you shame. But broadly, yesterday when I was listening to the rules and they said you can't bring calculators and so on to the examination center, I questioned and I was like, really? In this day and age, you are going to write BEC and we cannot allow them to even use calculators, and you want to move into STEM, you want to do science and technology, and you are not providing platform for them to have access to calculators to do mathematics. You can provide, as he said, if we are really growing, you provide some ICT basics to allow them to do digital exam. Go to other institutions. We don't want to just compensate here in America. But we have kids at grade 2, grade 3 using computers provided for them. And so if we can't do all from class 1, from the JHS 2, JHS 3, why haven't we made it a conscious? How many students are we looking at? 620,000. In those jurisdictions, the computers are not for free. As in, they don't give it to them forever. You use it when you move to the next grade. You leave the computers behind.
Those who are arguing that the kind of culture we have wouldn't help so much because the children are using these same tools that are supposed to be aiding their education to do other things, and it's worsening the condition.
No, this is available for all students across the globe. But the point is that the computers that they are giving, you can't access it for any other thing apart from the material. So if the child is taking his own phone given by the parent, that is for the home to bring that discipline. But the computers that they are giving for study, it is curriculum based. It is only for their level. You can only access the next grade information when you have access to enter into the system. So this whole thing, as we are discussing, I'm coming from Parliament. My colleague is in Parliament. It is time for us to re-articulate these matters, bring it to the fore, because I said coming back to Parliament next 2 weeks to 3 weeks, the Minister for Education should come back and engage us. You know, we talk broadly, education, we give support, budget for education ministry so much. At the end of the year, they don't receive all the money, and then when you check the usage of it, we pay salaries, we do visitations, at the end of the day, we move on. But strategically, how are we preparing now? You talked about even allowing students to go to schools nearby. When we were in Cape Coast those days from Addis Ababa and the rest, how many people within the catchment community had access to Addis Ababa College? I'm coming from Takoradi. I had Takoradi Secondary School right around me. Why didn't I go to Tadi School, or I did Tadi School form and move to Addis Ababa? Why didn't I stay in Tadi School, but I had to move to Addis Ababa College?
Why?
Because my parents felt that the facilities that were there at the time and the quality of teaching and learning at the time was not of the same standard as you find in Infansipim or Addis Ababa and so on. And over the years, we are trying to improve on the state of these schools. We should be able to be intentional about it, like the previous administration, my government, NPP did in this term, trying to build new model secondary schools. So this is the trajectory you go, so that in Odogono today, people that go to Odogono are proud students of Odogono, because the facilities there are even at times better than what you see in other institutions. So why can't we replicate all of these across the secondary schools? Then you pass a policy that if you are within this radius, because in the developed nations and the rest, you can't cross jurisdiction. If you go to school within this radius, if you finish JHS, your next automatic school is the next secondary school around you. And you have no choice. You cannot say I'm moving from New York to California to go when you don't reside within that community. And so it's a general challenge. Let's take responsibility over the time. That's why I said we are failing, because there's a way out in this matter.
And
we need that
and indeed, this starts from somewhere. Even before we move to the systems, it starts from somewhere. The mindset of the students or the children, the parenting and all of that. What I hear in terms of consensus is that we, at this stage, are teaching our children that they can buy their way through life. How do we start with this mindset even before they get to the systems? Because we've seen students beating their teachers because they did not allow them to cheat. They found the teachers to be wicked because of a particular mindset they had. How do we start from there before the systems even come in place to as it were, put things in order? Before I come to you, Dr. Inusa.
We've compromised on discipline. Simplicity. We've compromised on discipline from basic level to secondary level. In our days when we went to secondary school, there are certain things you cannot do or say or show to a teacher. Now, because we have pampered children from our home, parents can't discipline their children. And so when they go to school, they think their children should not be disciplined. And we have carried this mindset to our children, and we've taken it to the schools. And so even as a government and as a system, we have accepted it and passed regulations to stop children from being punished in schools. And so we think we can only use verbal sanction. You just speak to the child and it should change. Even the good book, the Bible, says that teach the child the way he should go so that he will not depart from it. And how do you do that? You discipline. And so we have to have levels of discipline. You don't strike the ant with a sledgehammer. So you have to progressively know what kind of action or offense requires what kind of sanction. But if we don't go back to it, then the children start from the basic level, knowing that they cannot be touched. They go about being indisciplined, and then that is how. So the system itself should be recalibrated, and we should instill this in the mind of our children, that if you go to school, you're under the care of the school. And we are governed by rules and regulations. And if you misbehave, you are sanctioned. And once you are sanctioned, everybody will fall in line.
Indeed, and Dr. Ramsey, I'm coming to you because the point I hear the Honorable Nyako talk about is sparing the rod and spoiling the child. I know you schooled in China. Tell us more about really the kind of mindset they gave them. And even when it comes to punishment, really how to ensure that it's a win-win situation. You're not doing it too much to intimidate the child. You want to raise confident children, but you're also not allowing them to be spoiled because you're sparing the rod.
Yeah. I mean, with the Chinese case, I saw something quite significant. I mean, parenting in China was not left with the parents alone, but also grandparents were very much involved in it. And it kind of maintained their culture of discipline. Today, we have contemporary parents with contemporary mindsets that moves away or shifts away from our deep-rooted culture. And of course, it's as a result of the influence of globalization and all these social media aspects that we see in our country today. Beatrice, I believe that our system is to be blamed for this. How? Because, I mean, everybody is competing to get once. Because the mindset is that once, I get into a good school, or I can be prosperous in life. That is the whole rationale behind it. The other aspect that I think that we need to look at today on this table is, Honorable mentioned STEM now, which is STEM, because they've added arts. Because the arts people have said that, okay, we also matter. You know, vocational training has been something that we look down upon in this country. Once you go to vocational school, it means that you are a less quality citizen, or maybe you are not a smarter child.
Wabong, they used to say.
Yes, wabong. But I can tell you that a banker today watching us earns less than even a carpenter, or a mason, or a plumber, or a painter, or a POP artist. And we tend not to look at these things clearly. And so what I want the youth of Ghana to understand is that success is not predicated on your results in school. We have had colleagues that we sat in school with them who were not as knowledgeable as some of us were. But today, their wits in life and what they carry, I mean, you realize that, hey, now, make fine, you know. But again, it is not all about your grades in life, right? It's about how you are able to bring out that God-given talent and contribute to society. Each and everybody created by God has his own or her own uniqueness. It is up to us to create a system that will tap into the uniqueness of each and every individual so that they can support the nation's development. So that is what I want us to focus on. And also with parenting, lastly, we tend to have a system in place and a mindset in place that we try and offset the responsibility of parenting to teachers. That has also been another critical challenge. As the saying goes that charity begins at home. And so it is a responsibility of each and every parent. So first you have a child to instill that discipline and that culture of discipline in your ward. And not leave it up to the teachers or the headmasters. Because there's little they can do. But you, the parent, you have a fiduciary duty to your child to ensure that the child upholds to the norms and ethics of whichever culture you belong to or you uphold to.
Honorable Bedi Akubedu, what have you got to add before we move on to the other stage?
So, two things. The issue of, STEM, I do not think that, yes, it's a good policy, but I do not think that is the panacea to the challenges we have currently.
Tell us why.
You see, we were talking about, and Honorable agrees with me, we were talking about how we could make this whole cheating, not worth it. So that if there is a policy where students would be forced to go to schools in the enclave, surrounding it, there would not be that zeal or that desire to cheat in order to get to the so-called elite schools. And the solution, I didn't want to be a bit, but the solution is building schools in areas which do not have one. Because before you even enact a policy, you should be sure that there are available schools in those areas. And that was the vision of President Mahama in building the E-blocks. You see, you need to have schools everywhere. And the E-blocks, like you were saying, it's in your catchment area. And you do not even have to spend so much in traveling to, which is also expensive, to yourself and to the government. So if there is an E-block in your community, in your area, and you know the E-blocks were not necessarily placed in Accra, they were in the, some of them completed, others not. And so if we all agree that that should hold, then we should complete them so that we can have that policy of students actually going to the very schools. Look, and with the E-block, it was a full school. I mean, I remember one is in my hometown at Chimtakras, and when President Mahama in 2016 came to commission the school, the headmistress of St. Rose's, which is an elite school, which is in Akwetia, mentioned when we went round to see, he said the kind of facilities the E-block had, even St. Rose's didn't have. So if we were able to keep it and make sure that those were put to proper use, you should expect students from there to do so well. So you see, these are the things we should. And then secondly, the data you shared being from the WASI, I have said this, I have a certain suggestion. Because I think that the problem there is bigger compared to BEC. We've heard about students attacking their teachers and all that. It's at that level. We've heard quite some massive whatever. It's at that level. Because me, I cannot, all these things we are talking about is in the medium term. But in the immediate term, I cannot fathom why we still have teachers trained students in that school, and there is an external exam, and they are made to write in that school, and often supervised by the teachers of that school. This is what happens.
But it doesn't happen in all cases, because
no, but
there are
most
certain
cases,
times that you go to another school.
Most cases, these are the less privileged ones. They move to the, so that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to mention it, but most of the privileged schools, they write in their schools, supervised by their teachers as invigilators and all that. I do not. Why can't there be a policy, at least even within the region or the town, that this school will move to that school because there is competition? No school would aid the opponent to steal. So let that school move to another school. Those teachers there would invigilate. So that should his school. That should be. We are talking about now. As for the medium term, we all agree. But now, I still don't see why we are allowed students being trained by that school and the teachers in there, where there is that competition. At the end of the day, we rank schools. Everyone would want to see. I went to Accra Academy. Any time the ranking is out, I want to see where my school, even though I'm no more there. And that is what happens. So every school would want to be up there.
Yesterday, we heard the Deputy Director General of Education in charge of Quality and Access, Dr. Ishahak, say that centers that aid exams malpractice will have themselves to blame. Do you think that is enough to deal with the problem?
No, it goes without saying. I mean, this is right. We all know that if you engage in that, you have yourself to blame. We know. But we also hear that sometimes it happens. So I'm saying that there should be a conscious, because you see, sometimes these are things that come to our notice. What about those that does not come to our notice? So I'm saying that once there is competition, once the exam leads to people's destinies and all that, do not allow students to write in the very schools they complete. At least move them around. Don't move them to far places. So that if we have Presec, Achimota, and Accra Academy, which we all know in Accra, that competition, why don't you move Accra Academy students to Achimota, move Presecans to Motown, at least, so that there will be some, because these are the invigilators, a lot of things happen, but we cannot say these things here. So I'm saying that in the meantime, we need to have a remedy to it. But for the BEC, if we want to promulgate a certain policy where students will be allowed to go to the... In fact, people have even said that we don't need BEC. Allow them. That argument has been there. But if we still want them to at least be tested before they move, there shouldn't be that. Every school should be a community school because they are all in communities. So that we don't have elites from here to there, some people traveling up from north down here because of a certain school and all that. So we have the E-blocks completed. If we need to add boarding facilities to it, which I've heard the president say, we will do that. So that every catchment area would have a school, which there will be a deliberate policy for every student there to attend that school. You don't need to travel very far. At least after SHS, when you are a bit up there, if you want to travel to university somewhere, that would be fine. But in the meantime, I think that we should have that policy. So it's not really, the STEM is good, but it cannot resolve the problem now. We need schools everywhere, so people would be, encouraged to attend the schools there. I think that
let me get your word on this, Honorable Nyako, and I'll come to you for your final word as well. Honorable Boama Bedi Akubedu just talked about the fact that perhaps we should consider the idea of not having exams at the junior high school level.
It came up.
Because others say that it is just all the pressure and the stress of, either passing or failing and the do or die affair that really influences people to do this. We've seen countries like Finland really not having any standardized exams like that, and people thinking that helps because there's no stress to want to go chew and pass. What do you think about that?
It shouldn't be a challenge or a difficulty. I think the issue has to do with how we've prepared and assessed them from the very beginning till they go to the senior high. Any jurisdiction that moves them seamlessly to the senior high school level is because there's a stringent and a proper assessment between the grade 1 up to grade 9 or grade 8. And so you know the child's strength. You know when they are weak, what you need to do. They create special classes for them to match up, and then they have the cutoff points based upon which you need to progress. So you, the parent, you know that my child needs extra help. And so on a regular basis, they go for extra help to catch up with their colleagues. And then when they finish the JHS or whatever grade, they transit to the SHS. We are doing these examinations because we cannot trust our assessment at that level. And that is what we need to do. So we need to make sure that at least from primary 4, if you go to other jurisdictions, from primary 4, they begin to tighten or improve on the assessment level. Every semester you are assessed. If you are weak, they put in other mechanisms. You move to grade 5, grade 6, grade 7. And so by the time you get to what we call JHS 3, you are already prepared for the senior high school. And the senior high school is only a build-up of what you are doing. But when we are moving to the senior high school, we don't also provide that general training at the senior high school level. There we break and say that you want to do art, you want to do science, you want to do this. And so an assessment should be made to take you there. But in other jurisdictions, even at the senior high school level, it is still an open courses or even courses. So everybody is doing the same kind of courses. And then you make your determination when you progress to the university. So it's our educational system that has to be re-looked at. And I believe that we should come to the point where we should have a seamless graduation to senior high school without that kind of examination.
Let me get your perhaps a 40-second final word on this, and then we'll move to the bit about Kulibu. I'll get your final words as well on this moving forward, beyond what you've said.
Yes, so we should be very careful about where we are heading towards as a country. The data is very scary at the senior high school level. And so I want the Ministry of Education and then government, including ourselves as members of parliament, to take this very, very seriously. Let's work with all stakeholders to nip this in the bud. I believe that we should also tighten sanctions. Let's make sure that anybody found culpable in compromising the integrity of our examination system should be punished.
Dr. Anusa, your final word on this before we move to the issue at the Kulibu Teaching Hospital.
Yes, Beatrice, I think that there are solutions to this menace. indeed, in today's technological world, as I intimated earlier on, if the previous administration could spend $325 million on the one student, one tablet initiative, then we can be able to afford to equip all our various secondary schools with the needed computers so that we can then go to a more digital-based assessment to be the panacea to these issues that we're talking about. And then lastly, the curriculum of our educational system. Indeed, we have missed out on all the various industrial revolutions, right? And I believe that the era of true and poor is over. I mean, I am a product of the OA level. So I kind of understand where Honorable is also leading to in terms of assessment-based examination and not that one holistic one.
Won't that be informed by how the teachers are teaching the children? Because if they don't understand, then they will chew and pour and pass.
That is also another thing. Our College of Education as well, in as much as we blame the political actors for lacking the political will and putting their mouth where their money is, we also need to also tackle our various colleges of education. And indeed, the kind of quality of teachers that we produce is also a very important ingredient to the solution. And so we want government holistically to review our educational system and look at all the challenges that we're talking about and bring about amicable solutions to resolve this crisis that is bedeviling our educational sector. I think that technological innovation is not far-fetched. We are a very rich country. We are not a poor country, Beatrice. If anybody tells you that Ghana is a poor country, then he doesn't know what he's talking about. Our resource wealth is about $12 trillion. So I don't see how we cannot afford for the necessary things to be able to, solve the crisis that is bedeviling our country. If, like I mentioned, if $325 million was spent on just tablets for SHS students, then of course we can be able to provide the necessary funding to equip our various GHS schools and then SHS schools with the right computers, right, with robust technologies supported to be able to tackle this menace. I think that we can do it. It's a matter of the political will. And I'm glad that we have two members of parliament today. And so whilst parliament is in recess, they have listened to what the people want. And this opinion is not me per se saying, but it's expressed by the people of Ghana. And I am just a conduit to express the concerns of the people of Ghana. And so we have people who are in the legislature who can be able to indeed ensure that they put the executive to check so that together they can be able to execute these solutions that we are professing this morning.
Honourable, your thoughts. Which committee of parliament are you on?
House, together, and the Lands and Natural Resources Committee as well. You see, so this is it. First and foremost, I agree. I mean, what has been shared in terms of IT, I just decided to stay out, but let me say something about it. I think it's in the medium to long term, truth be told, because you see, until a community in my area, as for him, he's from an elite constituency, so a community in my area called Amakrum, where even from, you need to even go through Akemoda before you can access the place. Without electricity for all these years, I'm now pushing for them to have it. And you need, it's more trouble, a motorbike to take you there 15 miles before you even get to the community. Until they
and that's in this
and that's region. A school. Yes, in my constituency, Amakrum. And you see, there are others, but I'm citing only Amakrum. There is a school there, okay, but they are not connected to the national grid. Unless we get to a point, unless I've been able to secure, that for them to be connected to the grid. What do you expect? You implement this tomorrow, how are they going?
And you have solar paneled systems?
No, they have solar, but not panels. You see, please. This is it. Sometimes we talk the ideal, but reality is a different matter. the society must not also be so quick whilst it leaves others behind. We must bring everybody on board. I agree, but this is in the medium term. Because if you are not careful, because it's not just about writing the exam where you distribute the laptop, they must be trained for years with it. Any little hitch that would deprive them of that training, they've been disadvantaged against their colleagues in the communities where they have all those privileges. And so that Ghana is we are treading caution. These things are the ideal, but there are practical problems. And so for me, we need to fast track our infrastructural development, and that is key in order to be able to do this. This we are talking about elsewhere and all that. I mean, which community in UK is not connected to the grid? I mean, so if they are able to do this, because they need to be trained with these equipments and then materials before they could be assessed. In the meantime, I am saying that the way to go is to proceed with His Excellency's ideas of community day senior high schools. We need more. Let every community, major community, have a senior high school. So that, and then there will be a deliberate policy that you don't need to travel. That is in the immediate term. Whilst we look at the STEM, because STEM at the moment is a special school. At the moment, it's a special one. It's not been replicated. I'm not sure we even have 10% of our schools converted to STEM. So that's in the medium to long term. But for now, if we have schools in every catchment area, we can insist. Because in any case, at the moment, it is GS that puts students to schools. They don't have that luxury of choosing schools and ensuring or insisting that this is what I want to be. Regardless of whatever, it is the state that would post you to a school. So the state would have that, that pleasure of posting you to the very community, because that also saves some cost to the state because of the free education and all that. So we understand what it means. So that policy, for me, the community days in the high schools is better. If we're able to do that, we can even find, if we even need to scrap this BEC, we can do it. That once you are done with school, enter from here, get, why? We don't have students writing after primary school to JHS.
Yes.
They enter the secondary school, as in JHS, right from primary school. We don't assess them independently or, nationally, but they enter. So if they do, some have suggested that we should proceed because basic school, they think that should rather end with the secondary school. So we can do that. But the only reason or the only way you can make that happen is when you have schools scattered or the secondary schools scattered all over so that they can assess it. If the Amakrum doesn't have any, he needs to travel miles to get to a secondary school, then if you say he should by force go to a secondary school close to him, you are not being fair to him. So these are the practical things I think we need to do. The community days in the high school, it's a very good initiative. Take politics aside. This is what happens everywhere.
Beatrice,
yes.
To add to what he's saying, I would also plead with him, as he is with the current government, to also look at the 6,500 schools under trees. Because if he is pushing for an egalitarian policy to tackle the educational sector, then I think that these schools under trees also matter. So we have about 6,500 schools under trees. And indeed, they have to look at how best they can, amend the formula for the district assembly disbursement so that we're able to solve these issues of schools under trees, because it's very, very important, right? There's no equity at all. And some of them will be writing this BEC.
In addition to the District Assembly Common Fund, there was also this initiative that policymakers were pushing for the district assemblies to also generate their own internally generated funds.
I agree with that. There should be some form of financial devolution or autonomy, and that the district assemblies can even borrow on their own books for certain infrastructure development, like their market spaces and even certain economic activities within the district. They can be able to do that. So I agree with that form of decentralization agenda. So yes, we in the United Party stand for decentralization, indeed devolution of our district assembly.
I want us to go to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital because yesterday a number of patients, for those who needed the OPD services, were stranded because doctors there decided to declare a strike, and we do understand that it came from a dispute between laboratory physicians and medical laboratory scientists over operations at the facility's central laboratory. And if you've been following the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, it's not the first time we see this strike or this agitation. It's been going on for a long time, and we don't seem to find a solution to it. But yesterday, in the night, we had a statement coming from the hospital, indeed, as addressed by the Chief Executive Officer, and I mean, they addressed it to the Chief Executive Officer. I'll just read that statement to you. It says, "Dear Sir, notice of suspension of strike action. The Kolebu Doctors Association, KODA, is formally notifying management and the public of suspension of the strike action commenced this morning." So this morning meant yesterday, the morning of yesterday, Monday, the 4th of May, 2026. It says this decision follows a meeting held this morning. Again, all of it happening yesterday, and the assurances given by management to ensure laboratory physicians return to their place of work. We believe the peaceful coexistence of laboratory physicians and medical laboratory scientists at the central laboratory is best for quality healthcare delivery. By this letter, we treat all KODA members to resume outpatient services from tomorrow, the 5th of May 2026. So again, this letter was issued last night. So tomorrow would mean today, and it was signed by the chairman of the Kolebu Doctors Association, which is shortened as KODA, Dr. Asare Ofei. And so that's really what's happening. But like I did say, there was already an impact yesterday where a number of patients were turned away. We know that the Labour Act 2003 as 651, to be precise, as sections 162 to 164 specify that essential service providers are not supposed to be embarking on strike. And yet we see this happen over and again. How do we need to ensure that we're able to deal with this, not underestimating their challenges as well?
Thank you, Beatrice. Please let's make time and also discuss the Bank of Ghana losses. Right, because I think the most important thing for me now is the suspension of the strike, because at the end of it all, it is the people that suffer. Whether there are legitimate reasons for the strike, the laboratory physicians have some basis for the claims they are making, and the scientists and all of these things. For us, the bottom line is open up the service for the sick to be able to access it and get healed. But we should also be interested at the issues underlying facts. And I believe, as you said, this has been a long-standing concern at Kolebu. It is not something that is national in nature. It is about the usage of their laboratory facility and the role the lab physicians and the lab scientists have to play in terms of the usage of that facility. So it's more of a turf war. It's more of who stands tall in terms of laboratory usage and assessment. And then the doctors also have these laboratory physicians assisting them with the lab reports and then advices so the doctors can make informed decisions. And the doctors felt like what is happening is going to impact on their work. And so they decided with the physicians and said, okay, let's withdraw our services. And it took only the withdrawal of service for management to step in and bring this. But you raised the issue of the labor law and the essential service workers and what they need to go through before they declare a strike. It is becoming one too many that we frown or we overlook the legal provisions and just embark on strike because we think we want to embark on strike and we have a basis. It is for good reason that the law was passed to exempt essential workers, including health service workers, from going or embarking on strike until it gets to a point where the law itself creates that avenue for them. And so I would want to plead with all workers, whether police or police, they've not even struck before. Because if they strike, who is good? So the doctors can strike the teachers, but not the police. So we'll plead with all of them to please tamper just with mercy when we have lives at stake. Because if you are not careful, one strike action within 24 hours has a lot of implications for health service. So I'll leave it here so we can make some more time and do some 10 minutes on the Bank of Ghana losses. That's a national issue. I'm even surprised
we may have the opportunity to talk about it, but we did talk about it yesterday, and we'll be talking about, we may have the opportunity this time. But Dr. Inusa.
Yes, Beatrice. It's sad hearing that patients were sent home because the OPD staff and doctors were on strike. Indeed, as you intimated, we have laws that guide our actions and inactions in this country. And so nobody is above the law. I want to have a very warm contribution to this topic because our doctors work under pressure. And let me use this platform to salute all health workers in this country. We've seen how they were able to step in and sacrifice their own during the COVID-19 crisis. And they are still continuing to do that for the betterness of all of us. Kolebu, as it stands, has its deep-rooted issues. Anybody that knows Kolebu will tell you that Ghana Health Service is Kolebu, GMA is Kolebu, and the Ghana Medical and Dental Council is Kolebu. Indeed, anything that has to do with the erudition of health is embedded in Kolebu. And so I would just plead with the doctors and authorities to step in so that there can be an amicable solution between the lab physician and then their colleague scientists so that they can have a very warm working relationship so that they can be able to execute what is right for doctors to also diagnose patients and ensure that we have healthy citizens amongst us. And so what I want to plead is that the health ministry should also do the needful. I mean, I've had complaints from a lot of MOs or house officers who have been posted and for 8 months, 9 months, they've not been paid. We've had issues of where doctors have been posted to certain districts and they don't want to go. Not because they don't want to serve or they are not compassionate, but it's because the facilities that would guide their executions are not there. Accommodation is not being provided, and you don't expect somebody to go and live in the jungle and provide healthcare services to citizens in the district. It doesn't make sense. So I want us to do the needful to support them. And indeed, this is a clarion call for the finance minister. And for the first time, I want, and this is not to say that other professions are not important, but doctors do work overtime. Doctors do work under very, very uncomfortable working conditions. For the first time, I want the Ministry of Finance to have a reform on the income taxes of doctors, that their overtime are not taxed. If they work extra hours, they should not be taxed. And there should be a tax exemption for their overtime. I want that to be clear. And also for the nurses and other healthcare personnel, so that collectively we can incentivize them to do more. And we've seen that some doctors and healthcare personnel indulge in certain corrupt practices and all that. And I know that they do that because they have to survive, even though it's wrong. You saw the scandal that came out of Ridge Hospital by the Fourth Estate. And Kolebu is no exemption to that as well. And so going forward, we need to treat these workers well. They contribute a lot to our society, and we need to really safeguard their welfare. And you know that there's a huge exodus of healthcare personnel out of the country.
To an extent that the UK actually put Ghana on a red list.
Exactly. Exactly.
Other countries.
Exactly. And so we need to do more to safeguard their welfare. And so beyond this, I would want to plead with all these parties that are having these issues to come to the table and let us have an amicable solution so that together we can build a healthy society.
Honorable Bedi Akubeje, your thoughts on this, and then we'll touch briefly on the BOG.
Thank you, thank you. You see, this matter, it's good that it's finally resolved. Because yesterday when I heard it, I asked myself a few questions. Usually when you hear about strike and the intention to proceed the strike, it's mostly usually one demand on the government or the other. And this one wasn't one of them. I mean, some, like Honorable said, a test for internal whatever. And I thought that it shouldn't have gotten to this point where the ordinary citizen walks to a hospital, and that's our premier hospital in this republic.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't want to use it. For me, it's very unnecessary. I do not know how far this matter has been lingering. I'm not too sure what the management has done about it. Because
I remember as far back as when Professor Efwahesi was the CEO of Kolebu.
I mean, it's been on for a while.
2013.
And if it's gone beyond management, there are other layers. The sector minister, the chief of staff, the president himself, and even parliament. I know, in fact, currently the health committee chair, Professor Abeyu, happens to be the board chairman of Kolebu Teaching Hospital as well. And I know how competent he is. He is one of them. And so, especially the doctors, he's been around for a while. And this matter should not escalate to this point where, because we are talking about lives. And it's not for nothing we call them essential services. We are not able to quantify the loss we got or we suffered yesterday as a result of just a few hours, or let me put it, 1 day, whatever. But you see, again, to the law, apart from the fact that they are essential service, for which reason they are not supposed to embark on a strike literally like that, even with, assuming they were not even essential service, there's the issue of strike and the way, but it's because of the politics we are able, because once there is a strike, we will have the opposition party back those who are on strike against the government without looking at, and it happens across. Because the law is express. I think it's section 159 and 160. There are requirements. You need to, give 7 days notice to the employer that you intend proceeding on strike. Did that happen? Did we know that even beyond the essential service thing, did they give notice that they intend, so for me, but you see, when it is like this, it's not time for you to get it, because these are people we cherish. They save our lives. For me, I always tell people, the last fight you should ever pick is any person working or a facility that deals with your life in terms of a hospital or any health facility. So it is not a time to apportion blame who is right and who is wrong. But I think there are people who have that aspect. They have been mandated to take care of all the people at Kolebu, which is management. They should deal with this matter. It's been on for a long while. They should deal with it head on. Let us not have this again. If it is beyond management, they know where to take it to. If it's, I'm not too sure what the labor law says when there are internal whatever.
They're supposed to go through the processes, including Labor Commission, among others.
No, but with this, these are, agents.
Internal.
So
they're supposed to exhaust their internal
before they get there. And so I think we shouldn't get here, because, like I said, we cannot quantify the loss we had yesterday. And it's, for me, with the greatest respect, it's needless. People should. Why doctors are doctors, and at the end of the day, they are the heads of that community, kind of, not administratively, but the doctors eventually are. So, to restrict them from assessing, well, I'm not too sure why. And if the doctors also know that that place is not for them, why would you? So I don't know what actually the issue. But you find a way around that so that people, these are premier hospitals. People should not lose their lives because of these petty squabbles and people's egos and all that. I mean,
I thought we were moving on to
yesterday, because we are discussing health, I visited Kwesimintim Hospital, which happens to sit in the Fian constituency, and the state of the hospital, very, very, very bad. You know, so I just want to take this. In fact, I engaged the medical superintendent and the team, and I said I was going to see both the minister and the deputy are from Western, North, and Western region. So we cannot look at a facility sitting along the corridor of Takoradi to Elubu, where accidents happen, and the first point of call is that hospital, and the basic facilities to work with are non-existent. So it's a call we are going to make, and so I just wanted to chip in and to thank the health workers, the doctors and the nurses for the good work they are doing to save lives. For not giving them the facility, the equipment.
I probably may have just one take from all of you. The Bank of Ghana, I'm just wondering what your issue is. The Bank of Ghana, of course, reported, this loss based on the audited statement of 2025, 15.6. We know that the minority has been speaking about Ikojo Nkrumah leading that press conference held on Sunday, saying that the numbers are actually almost 44 billion Ghana cedis. But we've had the Bank of Ghana coming in to explain that really the minority is not explaining things, it's not understanding things properly, doesn't understand central banking, and even went on to say that when it comes to gold transactions, you cannot really, the way the minority is interpreting things, thinking that in fact, they put it this way, that they are normal outcomes of reserve management and not attempts to hide any deficits.
Yes, so Beatrice, let me greet His Excellency Dr. Baumia wherever he is saying, because we will come here, we will come and deal with the issues. We don't have time today.
Yeah, that's
but see, the difficulty is the hypocrisy. For me, these are normal numbers in the Bank of Ghana. Why? Haven't we seen losses occur over time? Didn't we make losses in 2024 to stabilize and to bring down inflation in this country at about 8 billion in 2024? So if you have spent about 16 billion.
By 2022, you had 54% of inflation.
Definitely, and we brought it down. And we brought it down from 54. That's what I'm saying. So we brought it down. We brought it down from 53% to 23% at a cost of 6 billion or 9 billion. And you also have taken it from 23% to 5% at a cost of 16 billion. Oh, you do 3.0. We don't mind. Why? Are we not in the same country? You can do 3.0. So the hypocrisy is to the extent that when it was somebody's turn, you chewed it as if it was abnormal for government to use reserves to manage the inflation and the numbers. Now you have worsened it. And you are hiding behind it, giving terminologies and telling Ghanaians that this one is normal. Didn't they know it was normal in 2024? Didn't they know it was normal in 2022? So please, for us, everybody knows what is going on in this country. Well, if inflation is down, don't we all benefit? If the forex is down, but the forex comes down at a cost. We don't just see the 10.5 and 11% there for nothing. People are investing. Bank of Ghana is taking money to stabilize the economy. Are you on the finance committee? Are you on the finance committee? You are House committee. Let's do
it. Really, I can just have like one take on this.
Yes, really surprised hearing from the Honourable Member of Parliament, who belongs to the Minority Caucus, talking about issues bedeviling the BOG. Let me set this record straight. It is only under the MPP and in the history of this country that the BOG recorded a loss of 60.9 billion cedis. And at that time, inflation was at 54%. 54%. Now, they, together with their governor, and indeed, His Excellency, the former Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia, right, conducted themselves in an illegal manner. And why do I say that? They breached section 30 of the BOG Act 918, which says that financing to the central government should not exceed 5% of the previous year's revenue.
Yes.
They breached that.
But they amended the legislative instrument to allow that to happen.
That is why I'm saying that they know why, and they even... They even suspended.
Now,
they even
said
all these. Gentlemen, you have just a few
when
seconds.
You were speaking, I was
and then I'll take your word.
Allow him.
Allow me to speak. Now you are telling
No, allow him. When is
now, you have a few seconds left.
You see, you're not being fair to me, Beatrice. He's interjecting me.
Yes,
when you were speaking, I was quiet. So you need to.
I'm letting both of them know that you have just a few seconds. Then I'll take your...
They breached that law. They printed out excesses into the capital market, and they triggered inflation to 54%. If that is prudent economic management, I do not know. Now, there's a loss of 15.9 billion by this government. And I do not see that as a loss. I see that as a policy cost.
If you could wrap up for me.
With all fairness. And that today, we're enjoying inflation at what? 3.3%. Right? The cedi is stable. The dollar is stable. Businesses can plan ahead, right? If it was their regime, can you imagine the cost of doing business today if the exchange rate was at 17 cedis to $1?
Honorable,
because we don't have much time.
We don't really have much time.
That is the unfortunate aspect. So this is what I would just say. If in 2022 you spent over 60, the loss was over 60 billion. And in the end, we had inflation at that rate, 54%. The dollar to cedi. You see, I don't know why this topic is not a good one for you. You shouldn't have brought it up.
You don't
the dollar to
the
cedi,
numbers.
don't worry.
So
When we get time, we'll deal with it. I really do understand it. But you see, you did all these domestic exchange.
Exactly.
People, look at the kind of mess we had in this country.
It's quite
and today we have over 15 billion, and you
15.
are saying, yes, billion loss, and we have everything to show for it. You have said it, that when inflation is down, it favors everyone. And you concede that it's a little over 3%. Look at the dollar to cedi. Indeed, even what is happening in the Western world, beyond all that, look at our exchange rate. When a little happened to you, what happened? And you are able to tell us that your loss is the same as this. It's not.
Please
this is their challenge.
Yes.
Every time they want to compare apples with oranges, we will get into the numbers and expose them. It's not the same. Show us what you did with your loss. Let us also show you what we did.
You come and do the show.
So let's talk about
the next show. When you come and discuss that.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Bernard Bediako-Baidu, Member of Parliament for Akwatia in the Eastern Region, indeed, and also to you, Dr. Ramsey Inusa, Director of Research, United Party, and of course, the Honorable Isaac Yabuama Nyako, Member of Parliament, MPP Member of Parliament for Efia. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Efia. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. I want to say a big thank you to Pamoni Clothing in Eastern Region, in East Legon, for my costume this morning, and you can find Pamoni on social media, Pamoni_GH. And let me also remind you that The Big Issue is sponsored by the University of Gold Coast. Whether you're aiming for a specialist MBA in marketing, communication, operations, supply chain, human resource management, finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, or business intelligence analytics, or you just want to advance through a dual MBA or chartered manager MBA, University of Gold Coast gives you options that match your vision. And if your next step is an MSc in international relations, communication, international marketing, international law, security diplomacy, accounting, finance, or human resource management, an LLM in international law, security diplomacy, or an MA in biblical studies, practical theology, the pathway is open. April is over, but the admissions are still on, and you can apply today because at the University of Gold Coast, we make it practical, flexible learning, flexible entry, and flexible payments. Study around your work and life. Choose a route that fit your background and pay in convenient installment. Your dream deserves structure, your future deserves strategy, and of course, your purpose deserves training. Apply now at www.ugc.edu.gh. Call or WhatsApp now on 026 388 8555. University of Gold Coast, building leaders for the nations. My name is Beatrice Edu. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest in the world of sports. It's time for sports. The Bilishan is here. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Beatrice.
You look great in burgundy.
Thank
I
you.
love what you're wearing.
You look even better in olive green. I hear it's from Eastern region.
Bill, I thought we talked about this off air. So this is from Pamoni Clothing in East Legon.
Oh, okay.
Not
so
Eastern region.
So you're trying to say East Legon, and you said Eastern
And
then Legon.
Bill, we'll take this matter of her. And of course, you can find her on socials, Pamoni_GH. And yes, get all your beautiful costumes from there. But what's happening? The Black Stars, any news coming from there?
One Black Stars player has been signed as a brand ambassador of Rush Energy Drink. That is Abdul Fattah Isahaku.
Okay.
He plays for Leicester City now in League One because they were relegated quite recently, but he's seen as one of the young talents that is coming through and is really, really shining when it comes to European football. Of course, Andrew Sefa-Banfu was there to see the whole unveiling and put up this report.
Black Stars forward Fattah Isahaku was unveiled as the new ambassador for Trillium Industrial Company Limited's Rush Energy Drink. Fans and members of Trillium Industrial Company Limited welcomed the forward back to Ghana with a massive reception at the airport. Known for his energy on and off the field, Isahaku expressed his excitement while outlining his goal to promote Rush Energy Drink on the global stage.
Rush Energy Drink is an amazing brand, and I'm so happy to have this partnership with them. I can't wait for us to take the brand to the world.
Meanwhile, the business development manager at Trillium Ghana Industrial Company Limited, Prinsela Awumi, explained the decision behind Isahaku's selection as brand ambassador to promote Rush Energy Drink.
We chose to go with him because he's young, he's youth. Rush Energy Drink is all about energy. And when you're talking about energy, you're talking about the youth. We thought of going with somebody who is a good brand ambassador for the youth as well.
Looking beyond the shores of Ghana, Head of Events and Special Projects at Trillium Ghana, Kendrick Yehowada, explained the impact they aspire to achieve with Isahaku.
Engaging him basically has to do with, brand equity. We're looking at broadening the shores and the market share of the brand. With him on board, with his energy and performance, you look at Rush and you look at Fattah Isahaku.
As Trillium Industrial Company Limited continues to break boundaries with Rush Energy Drink, Isahaku's ambassadorial role is seen as pivotal.
Do you have your Rush Energy Drink?
Oh, no, I don't. I don't remember if I've even drank that before.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how it tastes like.
Okay,
to be
yes,
fair.
but let's go to the EPL. What's happening? Nottingham, any good news from there?
Yeah, they defeated Chelsea by 3-1 yesterday. And even better news for Arsenal fans, Everton drew 3-3 with Manchester City. So Manchester City have dropped some further points. And even if they win their next game in hand, they'll still trail Arsenal by at least 2 points. And so it is a very, very big result. For Nottingham Forest, they are in pole position to stay in the league after defeating Chelsea by 3-1. And for Everton, they did well by holding Manchester City. Although they looked like they were going to win, but City fought back in the end and got the draw. However, it's still...
Conclude and say that, yeah, we are back to our 21 or whatever years of not getting anything. We'll rise up.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think now it's getting even closer.
Yeah.
And,
Arsenal,
nice. Yeah, it's 5 points gap.
76-71.
Yeah, it's
That's
a 5-point gap now. And even though Man City still have a game in hand, even if they win, they'll still be trailing Arsenal by 2 points if they win. Arsenal would have West Ham United during the weekend to play against away from home, while City will be playing against Brentford.
To score City.
And then they'll play against Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and then Aston Villa, while Arsenal will host Burnley, and then we'll go away to Crystal Palace on the final day.
That'll be lovely. What do we know about the Champions League semi-finals?
Yes, Arsenal themselves, they have a game later today against Atletico Madrid in the second leg. Remember the first leg last week, they drew 1-1 at the Wanda Metropolitano.
They have to change the time they play the games. A lot of the time it's on Tuesdays. I don't get to watch it.
Oh,
because I have agenda.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
that's sad. But
yes.
I mean, one of those days when you are actually free, you can get to watch it. Usually, Champions League games are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
That's like the scheduling for it. It's been there for quite a long time. I don't think it will be changed anytime soon, but it's a very, very crucial game for Arsenal. If they win, they qualify to the final of the competition for the first time since 2006. And and that would be a very, very big opportunity for them and an extra boost as they chase 2 titles, the Champions League and then the Premier League trophy. I mean, this is their history since 2010. They've not been to the semi-finals more than once in that period. I mean, this is the first time they've gotten to back-to-back semi-finals. And an opportunity for Arteta to get over the line and now get to the final.
Yeah, and NBA playoffs?
Yeah, and the NBA playoffs, San Antonio Spurs, despite having Victor Wembanyama, set a new record for steals, and his kind of triple-double was very special because he had a lot of blocks with rebounds and then points. But unfortunately, they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle scored 21, Anthony Edwards scored 18, and that gives them a 1-0 series lead in the Western Conference semi-final. So, but I mean, it's a best of 7, so it's a long one still to go. San Antonio Spurs can still bounce back if they choose to.
How are the Los Angeles guys doing?
The Lakers would actually be playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder soon, also in the Western Conference semi-finals. It's a very tough one for the Lakers because the Thunder are the best team in the league. They have the MVP. They won the championship last season. So it's a very, very difficult one. But maybe they
come
could
to
pull
overtake
off.
the Lakers, because the Lakers had been leading for some time, right?
At some point, the Lakers were somewhere close to the top. But the Thunder have been at the top throughout the season. They've been the team to beat for anybody in the division and in the NBA as a whole.
What else do you need to know? You're back at 10, right?
Yes, I'm back at 10.
Yes.
And we're still building up to the 2026 World Cup. And we do have some news on the AFCON and what is coming up. But we'd all get all of that at 10 a.m. That is on Sports Daily. And also on social media, 3SportsGH on the website at www.3news.com/sports.
Thank you very much, Tebele Shen, the man looking all great in burgundy today.
Yes, and the woman looking even better in olive green from Eastern Legon.
From East Legon in Accra. And stay with us, we are back with more.